You're coming too. From Washington State to now sunny California. We've been at it for 5 years. It began with selling our previous boat and taking that money to buy tools and build a shed. We assembled keel pieces, poured the ballast, and raised all 16 frames in the first 6 months. Now, half a decade later, and at a slower but steady pace, we're in the water. We're Salt and Tar, and this is our life. Like, subscribe, and support if you can. I'm working on the next video, and Garrett is thinking.
Trying to figure out how to do the back rest. Figured it out.
Oh!
If I glue this piece to this piece and this piece to this piece.
Lucidity. Do we have it?
Wait, hold on. I'm not done yet.
Aww. It's been a successful day.
I think so.
I mean, the backrest isn't made, but something was created, and that's special.
I've done it. I have done it. My greatest work yet. My masterpiece.
Where are we gonna hang it?
Lucidity has 2 definitions. Number 1, the ability to think clearly, especially in intervals between periods of confusion or insanity. This is not one of these intervals. Garrett continues making patterns for more of the interior while we're cooped up due to the rain. Moments of clarity do come. In a rainbow, or basking in the sun, or a glassy sunset. But we have a boat to build. And until it's done, it will always toil with our minds.
I can stand on it, so I think that counts. What do you think, Darius? Darius has been overseeing this whole project, and I think he approves, so I think we're good.
Building a boat tests your sanity. It takes so much more than you think. Unlike a restoration, you're in charge of making it a boat. It's never floated before or sailed. You've invested everything in something that's never been proven to work. No doubt when we're diving in crystal clear blue water, it'll all be worth it, and this will all be a distant but fond memory. To say we're exhausted is an understatement, but the challenge is far from over. This is a test of endurance, and we're determined not to fail. This leads me to definition number 2, brightness or luminosity. It's time to light up the dark cabin and get some ports in, don't you think? So we've got our vertical points on the starboard side. And we just finished doing the port side. And Garrett kind of measured to make sure that we're pretty dang close to equal on both sides.
Yeah,
and we succeeded, so that's awesome.
I'm perfectly happy with. So, yeah, we measured everything, got everything perfect how we wanted it on the starboard side. And the hope always is, if your boat is symmetrical, then you can just transfer the exact measurements from starboard to port. That's not always the case, but thankfully for us, it has been the case most of the time. And with this side, it's, I mean, the only discrepancy is a 1/16 of an inch, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
That's pretty dang awesome.
Yeah.
So this is our corner where we keep all of our cruising gear that is yet to be on the boat. Like our rigging is down there, filters and propane tank, tubing, and I'm gonna grab one of our ports. So here, the ports. What are you doing in the corner? I already got it. Ready to go? Back to the boat? Alright, buddy. So we did two different ideas with the ports. On the starboard side, which I think is what we're gonna go with, we kind of marked out what the ports would look like in the center of each of these upright posts that we put in. So the further forward one is a little different spacing than everything else, but we're pretty sure that that looks the best versus the port side where we kind of marked out where our holes would be if they were evenly spaced all the way through. But then it looks kind of weird with the uprights from the inside of the boat and from the outside of the boat. I don't think you're really going to notice the furthest forward port being a little bit different spacing as much as seeing this in here. But this is even spacing on the port side, but I think it looks a little bit weird. So we've kind of gone with the starboard side, which is all the ports being in the middle. I guess we didn't go exactly in the middle with this one because the middle would be this line, but because on the port side we have the head bulkhead, the port has to be in the middle of the head. So I think that's what we're doing. So we've matched it here. Is that kind of right?
Yeah, just because this bulkhead's in the way. I don't think it'll be that noticeable. I was walking around the boatyard the other day when I was thinking about this, just kind of looking at other boats and noticing that there's actually most boats that I looked at that had ports like this, they weren't uniform. Like that schooner right over there, and it's got the bronze circle ports too. And if you look at them, they're just like all different lengths apart from each other. And also, that's kind of where a lot of our rigging will be too. So between like our really tall bulwarks and having like the aft shrouds kind of in line or somewhere around that port with all the ratlins and everything, you really won't even notice. Like there's so many things that'll be catching your eye. What are you doing back there?
Garrett says that his drill guide thingamabob is under here. Here we go. Somewhere. Ah! Don't laugh at me, it makes it harder. You have no idea where you put it. Ow.
Down there somewhere. So one of those boxes that I organize stuff in.
Is it still in the box?
Oh, it's right there.
Why am I missing it?
Right hand. See the shaft sticking up?
I was looking for the box.
Oh, you dropped part
You
of it.
need that part, huh? This part?
Yep.
No, this is where my butt always gets stuck.
They're uniformly.
Off from what you had marked out here with your original idea?
Which is to be expected.
Because this was going to be more
exactly
accurate,
the
right?
same. Yeah, this is the most accurate, but they're exactly the same off on both sides. So, because the cabin wall is an inch thick and it's angled, and you know the measurement. I don't know exactly how much epoxy and fiberglass is built up, and everything's, and you know how much epoxy is built up under this, measuring up from that. So there's always going to be discrepancies. But this way is going to be far more accurate.
Nice. So on the starboard forward, we're slightly up from the X, and I guess a little bit aft. On this side, we are, slightly up from the X and a little bit aft.
We're running a string between the first and last port, as Garrett measured exactly where he wanted them to be from the inside. We know the middle ports are 30 inches apart, and this string will help us find their center and make sure they follow in line and with the shape of the cabin.
Port side? Who do you see, Swamp?
Howdy, howdy.
Hey!
Perfect timing.
You look like you need a beer.
Sixth sense of the bro.
Yep, I knew it. I'm all the way over there.
Welcome to the water side.
Thanks, sir.
Fix your hydration.
Thank you. We are drawing circles for our ports. We've got a pretty good start on the ports, and then Reed, Garrett's brother, showed up, and so we've had a few brews, and now the boys are fishing. So we'll see if we'll catch some dinner. Swab's having fun chasing the lure, and Ellie, Reed's dog, has stolen Swab's bed, so it's a good night. There she is. I'm gonna try and get Swabby off this ladder to Reed's boat for dinner. So great. Garrett, you're my hero. Oh, good boy.
The fish weren't biting, so it's veggie tacos aboard a mua. Reed's still landlocked on the hard, re-gluing his decks and re-rigging.
Oh, Swab! He's here!
He's here. Boom.
Up next,
All right.
We make permanent holes.
Look at that!
And install our first ports.